Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and next up is the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the Batman Dark Knight's Metals, Batman Earth -1. This is Devastator, another Batman. Happy Batman Day. I don't normally review things outside of Marvel Legends, Power Rangers, Lightning Collection, G.I. Joe Classified Series, occasional Star Wars Black Series. This will be my first review of a DC Multiverse figure. So what better figure to do than the craziest looking one that has been released so far? He will not be the craziest by the end of it, but he is the craziest so far, and the one that definitely everyone is on the lookout for. So I have come across the three others in the line, the Dark Knight's Metal, the Dawnbreaker, Grim Knight, and the Murder Machine. Devastator I actually got from somebody on Instagram. He sent me a message saying, hey, I saw your hunt videos that you were looking for it. I got one I could ship out to you. So Carl, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I tagged him on Instagram. You guys could check it out. So here, let's just get right to it. So Batman Earth -1 DC Multiverse. He fills up the package completely. I mean, his arms are like touching the side of the box. It's just crazy how big and heavy this guy is. It is insane. Look at the side. Look at this side. You can see Dark Knight's Metal, Batman Earth -1. Here on the back of the package, we have a look of some artwork of Devastator. So that is pretty cool. Other figures that have come along in the DC Multiverse. But enough of that, let's get right to it, open it up, and check out the figure. Okay, and there is Devastator out of the package, and this figure is beastly. He is just massive, but actually out of the package, he's not as heavy as I thought he would be. Now, McFarlane Toys, compared to like Marvel Legends and some other action figures, to me, and I could be completely wrong on this, it feels like they use a kind of a softer plastic, and I noticed that with the Mortal Kombat figures, like the Johnny Cage and the Spawn figures. Those are the only ones that I have from the Mortal Kombat line, but I just feel like it's a softer plastic, and that's not a bad thing, so don't get me wrong there, but it just feels a little bit lighter. It doesn't feel cheaper, just feels a little bit softer, if that makes sense, which then makes it a little bit lighter. Not to say that he's light, because he, you know, he's definitely got some weight to him, but it is really cool. So let's get in and zoom in to take a closer look at all the things he has. Unfortunately, there are no accessories. Now, the other Batman figures do come with the accessories, but this guy is just so beastly. There's just no room to put accessories in the package, so you get a lot of figure for the same $20 price tag as the other one, so that is pretty cool. But let's zoom in. Okay, so there is a closer look at the Doomsday Batman Devastator. A lot of people, I think, when they first announced this, from far away, you know, it looks like it's Doomsday, but it's actually Batman. So looking at him, he just looks amazing. The sculpt of this thing is insane. There's like no smooth surfaces. He has a very rocky texture throughout his entire body, which is pretty cool. And then in some places along the figure, you actually get some wash effect actually in there, so you kind of have some two-tone going. So that is really cool. So, you know, you got to give it to McFarlane Toys. You know, they have a larger scale, so 7-inch scale. You know, you get more plastic for your same $20. There's no Build-A-Figure piece. Their Build-A-Figure program ends up being $5 more. I think the value is still better than Marvel Legends, but you do end up paying more for it. But looking at, you know, just their single releases, it's crazy what they are doing fitting something like this, because this is something Hasbro would never give us a figure like this for $20. This would be like their $30 deluxe figures if we were to even get this crazy amount of detail. And the detail is mostly in the sculpt of the figure. So paint-wise, there's not a whole lot, right? We get the bluish gray pants that are in his clothing that are all kind of tattered up even throughout here, and then his arms. We get some darker gray shards right here down towards his ankle. We get it on his hands, his elbow there, and then on the shoulder. Other than that, we're just in kind of this grayish color throughout. But the torso does have a little bit of wash in there to give it a little bit more textured look throughout. You don't really get it on the back of the figure, because you could kind of see we get a little bit darker there, but it's all lighter over here. And that actually kind of looks funny. It looks like, oh, that's because it's the butterfly joint. So I didn't even realize it was a butterfly joint in there until looking at it and saying, what the hell's up with the difference in colors going on there. So still weird that this one's darker, this one's lighter, but you know, just looking at the sculpt of it, that's just insane how it looks. And we actually get some wash on the feet to give it a darker look, but just insane detail in the sculpt. Like, that is just nuts. The complete rocky texture and everything that he's got going on there. His eyes are painted a little bit of red, and they kind of do that glow effect where they do a little bit of the overspray, so that is cool. His teeth are a different color. His tongue is still just the same gray though. It actually looks a little bit weird because you have the articulated jaw, but the way it works is the inside looks kind of funny. So, you know, if you don't open it up all the way, it looks a little bit better, but it does, to me, it just looks a little weird. But, you know, depending on how you do it, you can kind of cover that up kind of thing. And then the bat logo type thing right here is applied nicely as well. So there he is now. Let's zoom out and look at his articulation because, you know what? He's got some range to him. Okay, so looking at the head, so Devastator, he can't really look down. That's not going to happen. So there is just kind of straight out, and then he can move the head down, but it doesn't actually get him to look down. It just positions the head further down, as you can see. So there's not really anything to look up and not really to look down, but you do get some crazy motion going on in there, which looks a little weird. And then you can see how light the gray plastic is there without that wash effect that goes throughout the torso. So it's kind of weird that when you move the head, you just don't see it whatsoever, because you think they would be able to do that, and then apply the head. I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's on a ball joint, and I'm not going to be popping that off, but you can kind of pull it out, and you can see it's got, the weird break in there. Shoulders go out that far, as you can see there, so this one's got a little bit the way the shards are to it, so you can't get it up as high. It's kind of interesting, but that's the uniqueness of the design. This side is completely different from this side, so that's pretty cool. You get full rotation on in there. The butterfly doesn't really get it to go forward or back much, but it allows it to move a little bit easier in there. So you can move the arm itself, and then that shoulder joint that's in there can move independently of it as well. So it's kind of interesting how they did that. There is a swivel actually at the elbow there, and it is a single jointed elbow, so it gives you a little bit less than 90 degrees, so not the most range actually in the elbow. The wrists have a crazy deep hinge, as you could see it there, but I'm trying to get to work it as much as you can, and it's kind of odd. So you get a swivel, and then you have that crazy hinge, but I can't get the most use out of that hinge. You have to really work it to be able to do it. So there's a lot in that wrist. I think more than it probably needs, but that is pretty cool. You could just see the deep cut that they have going on in there. And then the top half of the torso is on a diaphragm rocker, but we also have a waist rocker in there as well. So you're going to be able to do pivot in some crazy ways, but you do get some gap, as you can see there. So, keep that in mind. Going forward, you're not really going to get a whole lot. Going back, you definitely get a little bit more, and it's kind of hard to work the two torsos independently of each other, because the waist rocker is a lot more loose than the top torso rocker, so just keep that in mind. Legs go out that far apart, which is actually pretty good for a massive character. You could stretch the leg out to go that high up, so that is actually pretty good. There is a little bit of turn and swivel at that hip, not a whole lot. There's no thigh cut or anything. And then one thing that's really weird is you can see where like the shading and stuff stops on the figure, because you just get this streak right here that's just light gray, because it's on the inside, that's going to be kind of covered up. You don't really see it, whereas you see the outside and then you see the front, but once it goes to the back, it also cuts off that coloring there. The knee is on a single jointed bend, so you only get that much bend at the knee, so not a huge amount, but you get some. You actually have a swivel at that knee as well. The foot has a swivel as well. The foot hinges up pretty high, hinges down quite a bit as well. Then you actually get toe articulation, and they actually use a metal pin in the toe, probably because if you're going to try and support some of the weight of this figure, they would have to use a metal pin for that. So better articulation than I would have thought for such a large, beefy figure, but it is lacking in some areas. Single joints all around, the elbows, the knees, but he definitely has some good movement to him. Okay, as far as size comparisons, unfortunately, I have not opened any of these 3 other Batmans. I wasn't really planning on opening any of them. Devastator was already opened, so I thought, why not? So at some point, I probably will open and could do some better size comparisons for you guys. But just think about how all of these fit in their package. Grim Knight fills it out pretty good, but you get a lot of accessories and stuff going on. Murder Machine is okay. He's got 1 accessory, and then the Dawnbreaker, he's kind of thin. He's definitely a little bit off to the side. He has a really cool, like, dragon accessory, or, oh, not dragon, well, looks like a dragon, maybe some kind of bat. That looks really cool as far as, like, the Green Lantern look to it. So just think of Devastator, how much bigger he is compared to some of these other Batman. So the McFarlane toys, if you're familiar with McFarlane toys and the quality of their plastic and the details that they put in, you're not going to be surprised by what is going to be coming, like, with this figure in particular. You know, moving the figure around, you hear all the noise that the plastic rubs up against each other and everything, so you kind of get used to that. But definitely a lot of detail. So they're doing some crazy things. They're getting better and better with their DC Multiverse line. You know, when they first dropped, I heard lots of complaints and saw all the comments and everything like that. I don't see it nearly as much, other than too many damn Batmans. Today's Batman Day, so we're going to ignore that. But they're doing some really interesting stuff, and I am happy with all 4 of these figures. I think they all look really amazing. They are Walmart exclusives. I think for now, I'm almost positive they will get a regular release to other retailers at some point. I think it's just a timed exclusive. I could be 100% wrong on that, but I think they are going to hit other places. So I know it's going to be tough right now trying to find them in store. You know, some stores have gotten solid cases of each one, or some of them, or stores now are getting a shipper with like 2 or 3 of each figure actually in the shipper, the sidekick shipper. So just kind of wait and see. Be patient. Good luck out on your hunts. Maybe you will see these figures pop up through online channels later on this year, or maybe next year. I don't really know exactly when. But again, I do think they will be a little bit easier to get because there's so much excitement and hype in these figures and people want them. McFarlane, I'm sure, wants to get these into the hands of as many people as possible. We all know the issues with Walmart. I'm sure he's aware of them also, but business-wise, you know, I think going into Walmart, it's just still going to be the best thing for them. They're probably going to move the most amount of units going through Walmart. So good luck out there. Hopefully you guys can find them. You guys let me know your thoughts on this figure down in the comments below. If you guys liked the video, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.